No, seriously, look, I caught this one dressed as a cat in Canada, and I'm pretty sure that's like bonus woke points to put on my LGBTQ card. Take it away, Kathy.
Oh fuck, so it does.
How's it going, Warriors Light? I'm If, the little fella that can in fact believe it's not butter, and today we are back with a review about as predictable as an advertising apology. Yes, not unlike my creepy gardener, you saw me coming with this one, but as a deep law enthusiast with a borderline chaotic personality, I had about as much chance successfully avoiding this topic as internet anarchists did with basically every drama on the internet ever. God, that guy's videos are pure crack to my senses on an evening. I have no idea why. But I digress. Welcome to my in-depth review of Lamat, aka Lamat, and return of my patent pending, but not really, good, bad and ugly format. But first, a double disclaimer. First and foremost, here there be spoilers. If it isn't already obvious, this video will contain spoilers for the Dawntrail MSQ. If you haven't played it yet, be warned, proceeding without expecting spoilers is like expecting a member of the Hollywood elite to not be a Oh right, I've been told to clean up my language. Compose yourself, mate, if you got this. Be warned, proceeding without expecting spoilers is like expecting a member of the Hollywood elite to not be a very naughty boy. Seriously, there'll be major plot details discussed, so if you're not caught up, now's the time to hit pause, grab some snacks and finish the story. Only a true adventurer would brave these spoilers unprepared, and I really don't want you to miss out on the full experience of discovering Lamat's journey for yourself. Secondly, I initially did want to mention this because of how divisive it can be, but my test audience insisted that not mentioning it could be seen as trans erasure. For the record, I'm about as political as a half-eaten ice cream covered in sand and seagull droppings. So I'll say this once, and then drop it. Yes, Lamat's voice actor is a trans woman. This fact has nothing to do with my praise or criticism of their work and has no bearing on my points. If you think I'm about to go on a DEI rant, you're mistaken. Leave now. Yes, the door with corn symbol on it. Similarly, if you believe that the actor's gender identity means I can't objectively assess, praise and criticise the quality of their work in Dawntrail, you're equally mistaken. Feel free to leave as well. Yes, same door. There's a set of knives on the table. Fight it out. Let me know who wins.
Blood for the blood god, skulls for the skull flown.
Anyways, let's begin with the good. The design. I had to mention this first because, furry or not, I doubt there is anyone out there who doesn't currently appreciate the design direction they went with female Hrothgals. She's cute in her own way, and I'm happy to see that apparently the women in the world of Hrothgals appreciate the benefits of good posture. No, but seriously, this is a problem in WoW too. Why do chunky males look like they're 5 years away from chronic sciatica? Anyways, I digress. From the turban to her general cut with bright, vibrant colours, exposed fur and bindings of her adornment, it's a nice blended Turalian culture that befits her station as a promise. And let's be real, most people appreciate an exposed stomach. I'm here for it. 2 thumbs up. The motivations. Lamat's story initially delves deep into the heritage and traditions of the Jar tribe. Her journey through the rite of succession unveils the tribe's origins, values and customs, highlighting a rich historical backdrop for the new world we are about to explore in the Final Fantasy XIV saga. As the story progresses, we venture into the diverse cultures and regions of Tyrol, inspired by Latin American countries. From the mercantile-focused Pelu Pelu to the vibrant bird folk of the Hanu Hanu, whose interactions reveal a rich tapestry of cultural practices and beliefs. The narrative tackles profound themes such as the clash between tradition and modernity, the significance of legacy, and the responsible use of technology. These elements add a philosophical depth to her character and enrich the overall narrative of Dawntrail. Lamat's pursuit of her dreams, following in her father's footsteps, mirrors the paths we tread throughout the early stages of the story. This parallel enhances the resonance of her journey, making it a compelling part of a larger tale. Not without flaws, but enough to get a mention here. I enjoyed this for the most part, besides the points I'll bring up later. Her growth. Facing personal trials and interacting with diverse cultures, Lamat learns to balance her ideals with the pragmatic needs of her people. This growth is reflected in her decisions and actions, making her journey compelling and oftentimes relatable to players. And I must say, it's nice to have a story not focused around us for a change. It almost feels like we're a mentor in this setting, and whilst I understand some people have not quite enjoyed it as much, I most certainly have. Maybe it's a kink. Who am I kidding? It's probably a kink. Throughout the storyline, Lamat's character undergoes significant growth. Starting as a passionate and curious warrior, she gradually evolves into a wise and balanced leader. Her experience in the rite of succession teaches her valuable lessons about responsibility, sacrifice, and the true meaning of leadership, culminating in the realization that while she alone cannot walk in her father's footsteps, she ultimately didn't have to. In a twist about as predictable as Russian disinformation, she announces that Kawana will be joining her as the head of reason, ultimately reflecting her father's dichomatic leadership. It's a beautiful scene and homage to the man himself that it was no longer about surpassing him, but replicating his seemingly impossible successes. And if you agree, hit that like button. If you like this type of video, suggest what character I should do next down below. And speaking of seemingly impossible successes, why not smash that subscribe button, because this troll said I'd languish at 4 digits and I'm about as petty as a Miranda Sings apology song. Validate me, you beautiful people.
Psst, and hit join if you want to fund my slow descent into madness. Free spicy goodnight text for every member.
But now, back to the bad. Her growth. I know you're thinking, Tool already mentioned this in Good. And you're right, I did, but it deserves to be here too. Whilst the overall growth of a character, aka her at the beginning and her at the end, is remarkable, it's the middle that starts to fall flat. The early story is incredibly formulaic. It's like watching an episode of House. I briefly mentioned this in my Dawntrail spoiler-free review as a reason I hated her character at the time. Every zone on the Ffxiv side has the same story when boiled down to its bare bones. Wook arrives, wanting to learn the culture. Wook lacks confidence before, during, and after some menial task. Warrior Light or supporting cast reassure Wook. Wook is happy and says something motivational. Wash, rinse, repeat. Twice in every zone for both zone stories. It gets old very quickly, and her interactions with supporting characters, especially as siblings, sometimes lacks depth. The complex dynamics within her family and tribe could have been more thoroughly explored to enhance the narrative and provide a richer understanding of her motivations and challenges, but it just wasn't. And this leads to some incredibly jarring tonal shifts, where suddenly, following a kidnap, which in itself was a bloody dumb MacGuffin, a strong, silent and efficient geek, Kawana, not joking, that's the impression they leave us with up until this point, suddenly develops a temporary personality. We could have used some of that from the beginning to lead us into it. You can't just wrong-hole us like that, am I right? Boy, I hope that joke gets by the filters. Her inconsistency. Many have noted, and it really wasn't hard to miss, that Lamat's actions sometimes don't align with her stated ideals. While striving to be a beacon of justice and peace, she occasionally overlooks major issues that conflict with her commitment. For instance, there is an instance where she seems to sweep significant atrocities under the rug rather than addressing them head on, which undermines her credibility as a leader who stands for justice. This leads to moments of inconsistency in her character where her actions do not match the moral high ground she claims to uphold. It's incredibly jarring for players and detracts from the overall narrative coherence. They almost certainly impact my investment into her storyline, and I imagine many others who invested in her character and may feel disappointed when her actions do not live up to her rhetoric, leading to a disconnect between player expectation and character behaviour. This has reduced the overall emotional impact of her story and lessened my attachment to her journey. A more consistent and introspective approach to her character could have provided a richer and more satisfying narrative experience. And thus, we arrive at the ugly. The voice acting. Oh boy, time to try and successfully navigate this fucking minefield. One of the most glaring issues with Lamat's character is her voice acting. Throughout the entire Dawntrail expansion, her voice remains monotonous and lacks the emotional range expected from a character in her position. Whether she is experiencing the high stakes of diving into the interforce at the climax of Dawntrail, or the more subdued moments like her introduction during Endwalker, her voice remains largely unchanged, failing to convey the necessary intensity or subtlety of the situation. This consistency might have been acceptable if it reflected a deliberate character trait, but instead it comes across as a limitation in the performance, rather than a narrative choice. Now admittedly, I know very little about voice acting, how it works, what source material is provided prior, etc. However, even with my simplistic understanding of this profession, I was able to determine that in order to isolate the voice acting from the conditions providing it, I simply had to compare them to the other voice actors in the role. So that's what I did. When comparing a voice acting across different localizations, it becomes clear that the issue lies with the acting rather than the script. Other localizations manage to infuse a character with more nuance and emotional depth, highlighting the deficiencies in the original voice acting. The discrepancy underscores how critical voice acting is to the character portrayal and immersion, and in Lamat's case, it unfortunately falls short, detracting from the overall experience of a storyline. I thoroughly recommend using original Japanese voice acting for this story, which is a criticism I haven't used since the disastrous voice acting in ARR. God rest its soul, I hope that never returns. Oh, if you have the critical thinking skills of a teaspoon, don't worry, I got you, boo. Before you cancel me and screen transphobic, I just want you to know Reddit has taught me the best defense to this accusation. An ancient technique known as I'm not transphobic, I have a trans friend. No, seriously, look, I caught this one dressed as a cat in Canada, and I'm pretty sure that's like bonus woke points to put on my LGBTQ card. Take it away, Kathy.
Oh fuck, so it does. Wait, is that why I'm here? I thought you needed help with your identity. Didn't your sign say you're non-binary?
No. I said no by dairy. I actually just needed help figuring out what the fuck doesn't contain milk in this country. Lactose intolerance. But anyways, can we stay on track?
Right. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you smash that like button, double tap the subscribe button, and of course click this, because if long nights alone with my thoughts have taught me anything, it's that background noise helps, and you stopped paying attention 5 seconds ago.